of the strongest forces. Not only can these weather phenomena seriously damage structures, ships, and aircraft, but battles have been swung due to the forces of nature. Any good military needs a solid storm response strategy, whether during peace or war. Aircraft from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration flies aircraft straight into hurricanes. They do this to determine their power and other important information about them. Pilots and crew who fly these aircraft do so to prepare U.S. military and civilian resources in the path of these storms to either ride them out or get assets out of the way. If not, the military and civil defense authorities are left with cleanup operations and massive storm damage bills. To protect aircraft from storms, the United States military uses a strategic evacuation strategy. Well in advance of a hurricane, aircraft are flown to designated safe zones far from the storm's estimated path. To guarantee prompt and efficient relocation, this process requires cooperation across several units and command centers. Crews perform rigorous checks and prepare the aircraft for long-distance trips. Critical support and maintenance staff accompany the aircraft to ensure its operational readiness. By transferring aircraft to safer sites, the military reduces damage while guaranteeing its air capabilities are intact and ready for swift deployment following the storm. When hurricanes threaten, the U.S. Air Force goes into action to protect its valuable assets, such as F-22s and KC-135s, to name a few examples. Until the final order to evacuate the aircraft is received, maintenance crews work around the clock to prepare the planes for evacuation trips to safer destinations. They conduct fast inspections, fueling, and configuration checks to ensure the plane's airworthiness. Maintenance staff frequently work quickly and precisely to prepare the aircraft for departure with only hours to spare. Once they are done, the flight crews take over. Resources such as ships are also at risk during large storms. Even aircraft carriers leave their ports for safer waters when the hurricane is large enough. When a hurricane like Hurricane Dorian approaches, a fleet commander might issue a sortie order to all warships in port, instructing them to leave and go for safer waters. This order is normally issued 24 to 48 hours before the storm's expected arrival. For example, at Naval Station Norfolk, the commander of the U.S. 2nd Fleet Forces Command may direct all ships to sortie to the open ocean out of the storm's estimated route. This permits the ships to evade the storm's ferocity while maintaining readiness. After after the storm has passed, these vessels return to their respective safe locations. Hurricane hunters gather as much information as possible on storms. They ensure that civil defense and the U.S. military know exactly what's coming. The job of a hurricane hunter is not for the faint of heart. These brave men and women must face one of nature's most destructive forces. Hurricanes originate over open oceans, and while satellites can watch their movements, meteorologists and researchers must sample the storms directly to obtain the most precise information.
Well, the best way I could describe it is it's sort of like riding a roller coaster through a car wash, because you can't see anything out the windows in the eye wall. It's just like a car wash. It actually, even in the middle of the day, gets dark inside the airplane. It's raining so hard.
0, set.
Finding the eye of the storm is not only critical, but finding the precise point in the center of the eye is just as critical.
Southbound heading. All right, cleared exit.
This requires flying through the worst part of the storm, called the eye wall, to reach this point. An aerial weather reconnaissance officer is on board the WC-130. He controls the air crew within the hurricane's eye to determine the storm's exact center. The officer monitors his meteorological devices to determine the lowest to zero wind speed inside the eye. At this time, crucial information is obtained through numerous sources. As a WC-130 aircraft penetrates the storm, the crew begins gathering critical information about the hurricane's intensity and structure. The procedure begins with radar and sensor systems collecting data on wind speeds, direction, and precipitation. Next, the crew launches GPS dropsondes, which are small devices that parachute into the storm and send real-time temperature, humidity, and wind data as they descend. The GPS-enabled sondes give exact position data, allowing forecasters to locate the storm's center and track its movement.
Oh yeah, it just ripped open.
The WC-130 crew deploys many sondes, resulting in a detailed picture of the storm's internal workings. This is then sent to forecasters and researchers. Once a storm has passed, information about its effects on infrastructure must be gathered. There are several approaches for evaluating a hurricane's impact. Following the storm, U.S. Coast Guard helicopters perform overflights to survey the damage, focusing on affected areas, infrastructure, and potential risks. These aircraft surveys provide real-time views and data, which aids in emergency response efforts. Ground teams and drones are also deployed to inspect and document damage in greater detail. Satellite imagery provides a broader perspective, whereas meteorological instruments measure residual weather conditions. Using these methods, officials create thorough reports on property damage, the environment, and key services. This rigorous examination informs relief efforts, resource allocation, and long-term recovery planning. U.S. Air Force airlifts are crucial in transporting emergency supplies before and after storms. Air mobility squadrons use aircraft like C-17s to quickly transport necessary products like food, water, medical supplies, and equipment. Before a storm, these airlifts place supplies in key positions for rapid access. Following the storm, they offer help straight to the afflicted districts, overcoming destroyed infrastructure and impassable roads. Coordination with local, state, and federal agencies ensures that relief quickly gets to individuals in need. These flights demonstrate the Air Force's capacity to offer critical humanitarian aid during natural disasters and not just support tactical or strategic missions. Another important factor in storm relief is the performance of search and rescue missions to rescue citizens from affected areas. USAF and USCG helicopters, such as the HH-60 Pavehawk, are critical in rescuing individuals from flooded areas. These helicopters are equipped with rescue winches, allowing pararescue men to be safely lowered into dangerous conditions and hoist stranded individuals. The HH-60 Pavehawk, developed for combat search and rescue, excels in such operations due to its superior avionics and rugged characteristics. The U.S. Coast Guard may also use MH-60 Jayhawks, which have rescue winches and are designed for maritime and coastal operations. These helicopters retrieve flood victims quickly and efficiently, ensuring they receive timely medical attention and are safely transported. Storms such as hurricanes can wreak havoc on unprotected military assets. Hurricane hunters and other organizations play an important role in evaluating these storms for timely evacuation and preparation. Afterward, transport planes help to provide emergency supplies, and helicopters help to save the lives of people stranded in dangerous conditions. That's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of our new content. See you next time.